statistics on this, Phil. Levitated by the human touch.
Here's the pass. Antonio's through. Chance of 4. What a goal! What a brilliant strike by Antonio!
Hello, welcome to a special edition of the Knees Up Mother Brown West Ham podcast. I am joined as ever by my two co-hosts, Jack Elderton and Callum Goodall. No jokes this week, lads, we're being serious. We've got a bit of a treat today, something different to the usual, and a chance to get to know us a bit more, but far more importantly, we have our special guest ahead of the launch of their debut album, Better With You, which is released Friday, the 4th of March. We are thrilled to have Dan McCarthy from Kawala joining us today. Hello, Dan. You all right, mate? How you doing?
Hi, mate. It's an absolute honour to be here. What a pleasure.
That's the best response I could have hoped for. It's got to be a pretty exciting time for you right now. Album's so close to dropping. How'd you deal with that? How do you deal with something like that coming up?
It's exciting. It's quite stressful, but it is exciting. Quite nerve-wracking. But that finally balanced with West Ham's slight dip in form is what's keeping me on my toes.
that is the kind of thing that keeps a man worried day and night, which is I suppose that leads me to how are you post Newcastle? How's your confidence going? Are you more of an optimist or a pessimist?
I hate to be a pessimist, but I think I am.
You joined me.
I hate it. Like I want to be like, it's like even with me and my little brother. Like I've season tickets to West Ham. We go every week we can. It's even in little debates we have. I'm always pessimistic without meaning to be. Even about Cresswell, never believed in him. My brother was, give him a chance. He did come good, then he got bad again, and then he got good again. So it's like, it's a roller coaster. I think post Newcastle, it's just the last couple of games we've just looked so flat and like nothing going forward. Just like kind of back to, it feels quite classic West Ham, but I don't want to catastrophize too much because we are also like 6th or 5th or wherever we are these days. I lose track.
It is a bit weird, isn't it? Your history growing up as West Ham is to kind of just assume things are going to go wrong. And you look at the table going, well, this is maybe as good as I've ever had it. But also that means we can fall further. So it's just, I don't know. I mean, what about the Europa League? Have you been enjoying the campaign in Europe?
I have, but it's like, it's almost felt a bit like a comedy until now. I don't know, like I loved every minute. But again, it feels like that thing that, when's it going to go wrong? It has been, but even also some of the performances in Europe haven't been fantastic. I went to, I can't remember which one I went to, but it was pretty terrible. And but also it is very exciting at the same time. And I don't want to come across like someone on on 606 who just like whinges constantly. Do you know what I mean? And like eternally negative. But
I really enjoy it because we do predictions quite a lot of the weeks. And, these two generally draws and wins. And we go, we'll lose 3-0, we'll lose 2-0. I don't want to predict us to win because that feels like it's just setting myself up for pain.
It's like when I started seeing Newcastle fans suddenly, because they had a bit of money, being like, why aren't we going all out for Haaland? And I was there just like, I don't want to, just because we're doing quite well, suddenly be a West Ham fan that expects success. But I had the great shame of growing up in North London rather than East, and all of my mates are Arsenal fans, and the entitlement that they feel because of a team that did well when they were children, it's just like insane. So like I'm there just like kind of trying not to let that affect me and become that person.
I did see you got the chance to go up against Laura on the BBC predictions, didn't you?
What an honour. Yeah,
I mean, that's where you want your music career to lead you, surely, to be able to knock horns with Loro on the weekends.
Well, I tell you what, when I got that text through, that message from our management saying that I got the call up to do Loro Predicts, I was like, well, scrap the album. This is as far as I wanted this shit to take me. Do you know what I mean?
I said, the best part of it was that I saw that you didn't predict a West Ham win, which I think is what I'd do if I was nationally being asked. Yeah, it was away at Palace.
Yeah, obviously not. You can't just I've got an irrational hatred of Palace, and I don't know what it is, but I just knew it wasn't going to work. But we did win.
We did win. That was the game where we were 3-0 up and nearly they had that last minute overhead kick.
Yeah. And this is it. And also the misery was that I went back and looked at my predictions and realised that I got 0 right. So, I don't know what credentials I have been on here today, to be honest. But
I think I had a look and thought, I think he might have lost to Loro. I don't know if I should bring this up.
Go straight in. I lost to Loro.
I think the punishment for that is you have to grow an old Loro mustache. I think that's the punishment, isn't it?
Old Tash had the most unique hair I've ever seen in my whole life.
That's the goal. That's how you get big in the music industry. A Loro Tash.
This is the route. This is the only route, some say.
That's the best way to do it. I'm really expecting that one day now. You're going to really disappoint me if I don't get a Loro reference one day loudly on some big stage like Glasgow or something. I'm doing this for Loro.
I am in many ways. on the big screen. Do you know what? Here's a guarantee. It's a promise right now. If we ever play on the main stage at Glastonbury, I'll bring out Mark Lawrenson.
You've got that on record, and that is staying in. Whatever happens, you get a publicist at the end of this. Go, no. What Dan said. Can't. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I've just got a message in straight away from PR. Just been like, don't do that.
The best thing, he'd be game. That's the thing. Laura would be game.
He'd have no idea what's going on.
Go for it, though, wouldn't he? He'd definitely go for it. I suppose you've had a couple. We keep talking about the music before we go on to the full West Ham. You've got a couple of the teaser singles from the album have come up recently. What's your favourite track on the album? If we're going to highlight this to people to look at, we'll have, we've got our listeners. Not all of them are as young as you three, so they might not be so sprightly with it. But where would they go? Which track first? Do you think?
You want me to offer up the most old school sounding to kind of like appeal to the masses?
Yeah, you know your audience better than I do, man.
I don't. That's the problem. I don't know. The song, we just put a song out called "Hypnotized" a couple of days ago, which is doing pretty well, and that's I guess that's all right. It's all right. I don't want to like overbig it. 10 out of 10. Faultless.
It's good to see you as positive about your own music as you are about West Ham's chances in the league.
It's called being a realist, I think, is the
that's what I say to these two every single week. But I don't know. Yeah. Optimism. Someone has to be happy about something, I suppose. It's just never me.
Yeah.
So how did you end up being a West Ham fan in North London, surrounded by red and white, I'd imagine? How'd you end up in Claret and Blue?
I actually had quite a funny route to it. Well, it was. Well, I mean, the classic form is that my mum is a West Ham fan, and my granddad. I remember being a very young lad and him, like, kind of sitting me down and saying, "Get ready for a bumpy ride. You're about to adopt something pretty miserable that's going to stick with you forever." Yeah, so that was the pretty classic route. Came through my mum, family from the East End. Granddad's from Stepney, that kind of like that neck of the woods. So that's the East End connection. But then my dad is Welsh and is a Cardiff City fan. So it was very much I felt at quite an early age put in quite a rock and a hard place situation in terms of my team choice. But opted for West Ham, and it's been the bane and also a blessing of my life ever since.
I think that's probably the perfect way to describe being a West Ham fan. It is a real blessing, but God, it is a pain. It does hurt sometimes, doesn't it? So what you've got memories of your first game at West Ham? Presumably Upton Park, I'd assume. Basically, we didn't really have like the money for a season ticket back in the old ground. It was a bit too pricey, so we used to go to every Kids for a Quid. So we used to go to like 3 or 4 games. We used to go 3 or 4 games a season. Kids for a Quid, anytime we could, cup games, like any excuse to go. My uncle used to go, he had a season ticket in so like we go wherever we could. I've early memories, probably the earliest memory was that not necessarily a game, but it was just that team with, I remember it was like Shaka Hislop in goal. I think it was like 2000, 2001, that kind of time first going, like Canute was scoring goals for fun in that very short, very exciting window. Di Canio, that team, I remember that team growing up. And then oddly, like my first memory of a game, like really like vivid memory, not just kind of like I'm at football, this is exciting. First actual memory of a game was beating Watford in like 2006 in the Championship or something really boring. But I just like the reason why it stuck with me so much is because like I just remember finding Danny Shittu's name the funniest thing of all time at the tender age. I should have kept that together better, but that's such a great answer.
No, but it was the thing that stuck with me most. I was maybe like 5 or 6 years old, and I sat there just watching West Ham Watford, thinking this is glorious, and what a man.
I get to say this. I get to say this word, and it's allowed.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
Can't bleep out Shittu.
I think that's kind of how my dad got me into West Ham, was teaching me West Ham songs that I certainly couldn't sing now. Just kind of suckered me, Cal, what about you? What were your first memories of going, Cal?
Yeah, so I had a sort of similar route into being a West Ham fan, in the sense that my dad was a Liverpool fan, and I was never really like up until like the age of 5 or 6. I was never really that arsed about footy. And then my mum and dad split up, and I met my stepdad. And the first thing he did when he met me, I came home from school and like hadn't even said his name yet, and I just went into my room and there was a West Ham away kit, shorts, socks, shirt, and home kit, and a season ticket. I was like, "You've just bought my love, haven't you? This is like weird blackmail. Like, by the way, I'm your new dad, and you're going to be a West Ham fan." I was like, "Wow, killer blow!" That's a deep cut. So then it was like, "Oh yeah, also we're moving to London next year, so like this is your team now." I was like, "All right, whatever." And then we moved up to London, and the first game I actually went to was a 1-1 draw between West Ham and Millwall when we were in the Championship. So it's like baptism of fire. I was like, he was like, "If you can handle this, you can handle any game." I was like, "Yeah, fair enough." Obviously had no idea what was really going on. I think it was probably the first football match that I'd been to apart from non-league fixtures at Worksop Town when I was like 3. And I think they might have folded now, or they're in like the Isthmian North or something like that. But yeah, it was Marlon Harewood scored. He was the first goal I ever saw at Upton Park, and the first player I ever had on the back of a West Ham shirt. So that's where it all began, really. And then, a long roller coaster affair with West Ham that involved 3 years with a season ticket, I think. And I used to try and get out of going all the time because my stepdad would make us cycle there, and it was like we lived in Walthamstow and we'd cycle to West Ham and like through Leighton. I was like, "Mate, I'm not doing this." Like, we turn up piss wet through in the rain. I'm like getting my season ticket out, I feel like shivering at the gate. So like, this is not worth it to watch like Reading beat us. It's not fun. But yeah, I suppose once you're in too deep, you can't get out, really.
I hope, Jack, that your way in was slightly less traumatic than Cal's.
Well, my dad was Welsh as well, and he was originally a Swansea City fan. He came over to London when he was 18, 19 and wanted somewhere to go, and he worked at Barking Fire Station, so West Ham was the local, and became a West Ham fan that way. So when I was growing up, I didn't really have much of a choice. I think I remember watching my earliest memory of West Ham was watching the 2006 FA Cup final. My earliest real memory, I think, is that, and my dad celebrating in the front room until the goal went in with his shirt off. And then my mum tells me that she found me in the hallway, because at the time I was a bit soft on Liverpool, because I used to get the Kick magazine and Match of the Day and all that, and it had all the Liverpool posters. I think they just won the Champions League, and everyone at school was talking about Liverpool and all that. I was obviously very little. I would have only been about 5 or 6 years old. And my mum tells me she found me on the floor in the hallway crying, saying, "West Ham need me." And that's how.
Jeez, can any of you bring a happy story to me?
But no, my first memory of an actual game would be, I think would be at the start of that season, I guess, which would be my dad trying desperately to get me interested. And we played Blackburn Rovers. I think it was the opener just after we'd come up, and the thing that left a real impression, we won that game 3-1, and Andy Todd scored the first goal I ever scored. It was for Blackburn against us, because they scored the opener. But my lasting impression from that game is of watching Dominic Matteo. Anyone who's listening, just look this guy up. The least Premier League looking footballer you'll ever see, standing on the touchline, in front of the touchline, trying to take a throw in, and then a free kick being awarded for handball, which was the strangest thing I think I've ever seen on a football pitch, still to this day. Especially because of the combination of handball while someone's trying to take a throw in, and Dominic Matteo. Just look him up, you'll see what I mean as soon as you see a picture.
I know he does. He's got that kind of bloke down the pub, slightly slow look about him, to be less kind than I need to be. Not the glamour of these days, and your kind of stylish footballers.
That's what I fell in love with, though.
It was Dominic Matteo's great look on his face that really drew you into football. I mean, I don't really have first memories of a first game, I remember more about going to West Ham was because I'm from Cambridgeshire, in kind of a small village outside Cambridge. Suddenly going into East London, and it's a kind of an introduction to a vibrancy of cultures and stuff that you didn't have around where I lived. I mean, I had with there's 3 churches in my village and 2 pubs and a village shop. I kind of never seen some of the things I saw before when I went to Upton Park. But I don't know about my first game. Best memories then, Dad? Have you got any best memories from Upton Park? I'm going to ask you to think of something happy and positive.
Yeah, it sounds like everyone's kind of historic memories of their start of West Ham is all kind of like rooted in trauma, supporting of other teams. And mine's all to do with Danny Shitter, who didn't play for us. Best memories. 2006 FA Cup final. Was probably up there. It hurt so much, but it was so exciting. It was I've never felt such highs and lows in 90 minutes in my whole, about 200 minutes in the end. But I've never felt such highs and lows, and so that's got to be up there. Oddly, one of my I've got an incredibly short memory by the seams of things, but one of my I just remember a really random, very special moment as well was I've been kind of despairing about the new stadium, as has everyone else ever, to support West Ham. And I remember it was that first season we moved, and it was difficult to settle in, and the football was rubbish. It was so bad, and everything was just miserable. And all of a sudden, after such a good season, everything looked good. There was just one Tottenham game, evening kickoff, Friday night, 8:00. And I remember just walking in. I got there about 5 minutes late. I walked in and the place was absolutely rocking. Honestly, it was. I'd never seen anything like it in the new stadium. I haven't seen anything like it since. But it was just honestly, it was chaos. Everyone, there was I walked out. There was just this old guy, topless, scarf around his head, swinging his shirt, leading about 2,000 fans.
Lanzini.
It was the Lanzini goal.
Yeah, I was at that game. Yeah.
It's for some reason it honestly it showed what there was just a glimmer of hopes as to whether the new stadium could come good. It hasn't really, but it definitely showed a moment of hope. So that was quite a special modern memory, I'd say.
I think I in my mind that the bloke with his shirt off with his shirt around, I think I may have seen that too, but I don't know if it's just a shared. But in my head,
that was actually me.
And he's here today. Yeah, no, I mean, it's a lot to go back for, and it is difficult because after a while they do start to blur into the same time. I mean, those of you who aren't watching the podcast was missing that Dan's got a very classic Upton Park pony Dr. Martin shirt on, which is
was it a long sleeve?
It's an LS.
Long sleeve as well. I mean, some connoisseurs amongst us enjoying that.
That is fire.
That is
my other favourite shirt though. I've probably got about 20 on the go at the moment. In terms of if a new one comes out, I go, well, I shouldn't, will, and then I'll just dig through the archives of old ones, and it's and I remember when Bilic was our manager, and it was things were just looking we looked like we were just going to be the best thing ever. That one season, I got the short sleeve 95 100-year anniversary Bilic shirt. Which I've got here, and it went so quickly from I was getting praised left, right, and centre to suddenly just that's a bit embarrassing, mate. He's left, oh, it's all gone wrong, isn't it, mate? Why are you still wearing that? So it's kind of it's become more memorabilia than a cool shirt I can still wear out the house.
That is one of the better shirts. So that is a good get. I'm very, very happy with that. I suppose we're about 30 years to this month since the English First Division clubs resigned from the Football League in order to create what has become, it was the Premiership, not allowed to say that anymore, now the Premier League, which is a pretty good excuse for us to go over our kind of best West Ham 11, especially as I think even I don't have any memories before the Premier League, so none of you can have any memories. I mean, Dan's got about a memory longer than last week, so we might get a really, really modern team on the go.
I didn't even realise there was a time before the Premier League. But here we are.
2000 and what? I mean, there'll be a lot of older folks. I'm sorry, unfair to call you old folks at the back, screaming about Moore, Hurston Peters, or Billy Bonds, Frank Lampard Senior, Sir
He's
Trevor.
mugged off the entire audience again.
Yeah, any of the boys of 86 too. I'm just going to ignore you because we're all a bit young. Some of us are more painfully younger than maybe me. I'll restrict you to a 4-2-3-1, but I will give you the honour of going first each time, Dan. So these two can think on the spot if you pick a player they've gone for.
I'm feeling the pressure. I can tell you now there's going to be no players. I think I'm probably just going to name the team now.
That's right. Well, I'll expect like an email through soon going, so I've changed my mind on every position.
Yeah.
I've remembered Rob Green.
A bit more time. Yeah.
I mean, that's the place to start then. Goalkeepers, Dan. Who do you think in your lifetime, your memory?
No, I'm joking. Okay. Best keeper. It's so tough because it's like there's some that are like based on memory and nostalgia, and some that stem from like actually being quite good in goal.
Yeah.
And I believe that we've never had a good keeper ever. But I'm going to go just because I loved his name when I was a kid, and it might not help the team at all. But I'm going to go Shaka Hislop.
Yeah, I mean, other than. We were in a call with him the other day, and it brings me in highs remembering the 2006 FA Cup final. I don't have that kind of look at the high. I just think of all the low. But Shaka was 2 spells as well, I think, at the club.
Yeah, he was phenomenal. I remember being a kid and being like, he's decent and he's got a great name. I just remember like that being the main takeaway. He was a good goalkeeper, and he's topped it with the good name. Jack, have you got a really good name to bring me as well, or you just?
No, I've got Rob Green.
Rob Green.
Boring.
Boring. Move on, Callum.
To be fair, Rob Green was number one on mine purely based on merit. I think he probably was the best keeper we've had. I mean, England number one, but then obviously that famous fumble, and his career kind of fumbled along afterwards. But I am probably. It's a toss-up between two, really. And much like Dan, it's like, do I go on quality or do I go on nostalgia? And I think I'll probably go for nostalgia, given that I think I know who you're going to pick anyway, Chris. But I'm going to go for Adrian, just because he was fun. It was like a time when I was going probably most frequently. He provided some good memories, the most memorable being that FA Cup fixture against Everton where he scored the penalty, took his gloves off, threw him on the floor. It's like, I don't need these no more. This is going straight in. So I think he probably goes in. Fabianski's probably a bit harsh to leave him out, but for me, Adrian was just that guy.
That's a tough call because that moment. That moment where he took his gloves off is one of my favourite West Ham moments of all time, even though it was ultimately pointless. But it was just, there was a swagger to a goalkeeper taking a play. Imagine if he'd missed as well.
I literally thinking, imagine he missed.
Imagine him turning around and picking his gloves up off the floor. Sorry, lads. It wasn't a great penalty, but it was on target, which is all that counted. It's a tough one. If I'm picking, I have to pick. I don't just get to choose my own choice. I've got to pick out of you three. I'll go Rob Green. I'll be sensible.
There you go. That Arsenal
was nailed on then.
That Arsenal game.
It's the Arsenal game. To be honest with you, I have a feeling that later on in this time there is going to be there's going to either be a right back or a left back pick that makes me laugh, and I'm going to pick that one. So maybe I should start off with a safe pick so that our team isn't a bit of a laugh. Well, that moves us on to. Right backs, and I know you're eager for this one, Dan.
Oh, well.
You're always thinking about right backs, aren't you?
It's because, it's worth noting that off record, I was quite open about the fact that I've just gone blank of every right back that's ever played for West Ham.
A nicer host than me probably wouldn't have given you a right back second pick, but I just thought. It's really tough, and again, I don't want to, without risking being like, I don't know. I have fond memories of Guy, but and Julian.
Yeah.
Because I feel like other people are going to pick him. But I mean, it's hard. It's hard not to go Kufal because I think like he's just like he's not looked great this season, which is so. It's honestly been one of the most disappointing things about this season. But like the way he played last season was honestly like it was. Do you know what it was? It's because we've gone through such a long spell without any good fullbacks. So like suddenly having Kufal come in, he just looked so solid and like worked so much harder than anyone I've ever seen play fullback for West Ham. So I'm going to go him, I think.
Big Vlad, good. I'm a big Vlad fan. You probably put yourself in with a chance there. I'll go Cal second this time.
Sound. Again, tricky. Vlad, yeah, probably the best right back we've had, I'd say. I'm going to go Faubert. He was. I mean, he wasn't great. I was surprised to see when I was looking up, he had more than 100 appearances for West Ham, which I feel like I didn't remember him playing that many times. He was here for a long time.
He only played six games.
Yeah. I think it was like something like 106 appearances for West Ham, which is just mad.
How many?
But he gets in. Yeah, 2 for Real Madrid. But he gets in purely on the back of that. The fact that I think, and I'm happy to be corrected, like if you know of someone else, please email him. But I think he is the only player to ever leave West Ham for Real Madrid and on a loan. And I'm pretty sure he fell asleep on the bench, right? Isn't that like the rumour?
It's worth mentioning that if anyone remembers Elan's diving header away at Everton, which a big goal in the relegation fight we had, the cross for that came from Faubert, and it was a peach of a cross. He did get injured early on. He was meant to be he was called Le Express Train, the TGV, and then he got a big injury. I think, as any fast player seems to do when they join West Ham, they get an injury quite quickly. And
I'll never forget sitting in the front room in the house in Walthamstow before we moved. And like on my dad's work laptop, like Googling like Julien Faubert Bordeaux highlights. And it's like him just doing bare roulettes out on the wing. I was like, oh, we're going to win the league. This guy's mad.
And there started a career with analytics.
Yeah, here I am.
I still think with Faubert that there's going to be some form of like Netflix documentary about how he conned everyone to be to play for all the clubs he has. Do you know what I mean? Like his career in terms of teams is just so astounding.
French right back version of the Tinder swindler. Right, you've got Faubert at least to beat, Jack, let alone Vlad.
I can't beat Faubert, can I? I mean, that Reed's goal against Millwall, wonderful. Took the keeper right out.
That great jump.
Absolutely fantastic. I'm going Zabba.
Yeah.
And purely because we've had so many old farts turn up from the big clubs over the years and be frankly shit. And Zabba was great. And probably quality-wise, the best right back I've ever seen play for us. Bags and bags of quality. Played in the midfield. Lovely player. Great guy. Perfect choice, surely.
I mean, I love Zabba, but he's not beating Vlad. Because I also remember the fact that Zabba could barely run in his period of time with us. It wasn't Man City's.
The game.
It was not Man City's marauding right back going up and down. It was very much like right, lads, look, wait up, I will join the attacks.
It's the moments where you catch it, it's just him at the back, and you just see like 2 or 3 breaking, and you're just like, oh, this is just like you'd be in the stands going, oh, I just can't watch this. This is just brutal. Like again, I think I loved Zab more than I thought he was fantastic because it was just that whole banter era of West Ham where basically we were a retirement ground for the songs and the Nasris and the. Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous.
That's a habit from the 90s. I mean, Nigel Winterburn and Ian Wright and Davor Shuker all turned up at West Ham back. We can't get rid of. I think actually that went beyond the 90s. I'll pencil Vlad in, which should give you a nice confidence boost down before your left back.
Oh, are we just skipping over the centre backs, which I definitely know the answer to?
I will do centre backs after. I want to get the awkward ones. Once you get the awkward ones out of the way, you'll be flying from then onwards. You'll be naming people you find centre.
I mean, naming people I haven't even heard of from from the actual 80s. Left back. Again, I hate to suffer from short-term memory, but it's just like so. And I know my brother who's listening is going to absolutely rip me to shreds here for saying this. Like honestly, I will never hear the end of it. But I'm going to have to go Arbeloa. No, I'm joking.
Right. I was about to turn it off.
Get him off.
What do they call it? The training cone or something was his nickname or something. And then he got really angry about it.
Did.
I'm going to have to go Cress. And it's been a bumpy ride, but it's like for the modern era at West Ham, he's been our left back throughout all of that. At times when we've been like, we need a better left back, he's been our left back. At times when we've been like, we've got the perfect left back, he's been our left back. It's like he's simultaneously the most consistent and inconsistently brilliant footballer I've ever seen at West Ham. So like, I think I have to go for him for being solid in the last few years. And seeing, I remember when he got that injury in pre-season, I was so gutted because he looked like he was good. He'd hit a bit of like fantastic form and it was going to look amazing. Got that injury, just lost himself for about 3 or 4 years, and now it's just like good to see him shining again and like back to his best. So I'm going to go Cress.
I reckon this will be a tough call for these two to find someone they prefer, and let alone they can remember better than Cress. I mean, because Cress has been around for quite a while now, and also we've spent a lot of time on this podcast talking about passing from the back, which Cress is quite important to. So I want to see these two try and justify why that's no longer important. No, Jack, who are you giving me for that? Yeah, I know. I'm really.
I'm between two here, which has got probably I'll be the same two as Cal's looking at. I'm going to go. Yeah, of course, Razvan Pablo Amaro. No, I'm going Joey O'Brien for left back.
Joey.
Couldn't not go against Joey. I'm sorry. Utility player, loved them. Played all across the back four.
We discussed this as well, haven't we? It's always worth now Googling what Joey O'Brien looks like now.
Wouldn't want to meet him in a dark alley.
He's scary looking man now.
Very scary looking bloke. But no, I think he did quite a good job for us playing right back, left back, did a decent job at left centre half when he was there. That defence was a mess that season. I think there were several games where we turned out with both O'Brien and McCartney as the centre backs, which is an impressive achievement even by West Ham standards.
Why are we like this?
But no, Joey, I did watch. I think I watched something. You recommended it to me, Chris. Actually, it was you'll find it on the West Ham channel. It was Noble and Nolan going back over the championship season with David Martin, and they both went, "Oh, Joey was a player, wasn't he? Mad underrated."
Yeah, I think one of the games they did was when he did a little mazy little run in one of the games as well.
Yeah.
I think that's what you'd look back at that season and you're thinking of that Joey O'Brien. You'd go, actually, he was a really, really not that player. But it's kind of a bit of a banter kind of time at West Ham, really. So you kind of end up liking these players, but really, realistically, if they were in the team these days, different story.
Cult following, I think it's called.
Cult icon.
Following of one. It's me.
Yeah.
All right, Cal. Then you've got a third choice.
Yeah, this is probably
you're gonna have to pull something out.
Yeah, there's really not much going on. I mean, Ilunga was never getting in there as much of a cult hero as he was. But you know, we've all pined for that 2006 Cup final. So Konchesky's going to get in just because of the goal that was across. I've got fond memories of Konchesky. Probably wasn't the best left back ever, definitely not. But yeah, he was one of those in the sort of same class as Harewood and Zamora, who I sort of first started watching when I first became a West Ham fan, and I probably won't forget for those reasons. So yeah, purely on nostalgia and the cross that was a goal, he gets in. Unless it was a goal, I'm sure it was a cross, wasn't it? It was a cross.
It definitely was a cross, but it was maybe my favourite cross of all time, at least at that point.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, my PTSD with that cup final means I can't pick a player who played in that cup final, and I'm too scared of Joey O'Brien. So Cress is getting in as well. So at least time, Dan, you're beating the experts. You might not have beat Loro, but
Justice
you're beating
Justice for John Pansel.
Yeah, there were a few others I looked at, like George McCartney. He came up, bit of a legend. I think Pablo Amaro came up, but I'm still not even convinced he was a left back or a winger, or even if he played for us. He's one of those players that he's on the squad sheet, but I'm like, who was this guy?
I mean, I'd have gone Julian Dix, but you're all young, so I'll have to let you off.
I was going to make a joke and go, who? But I didn't. It's not worth the
It's not worth it from the fans, let alone from Julian. He might fight you.
It's not worth it.
The Terminator's killed for a reason.
We do everything in his power to make no one listen to our new album.
Turned off from West Ham fans all around. Right, okay then. Easier now. Send some centre backs for you, Dan. You can pick two.
Pick two.
Yeah, pick two,
Okay,
and I'll let the others try and fill in.
I'm going to go again for seeing us through some of our darkest times, like genuinely our darkest times, and always being there when we needed him, and always being fantastic. Like, and even when it got kind of weird towards the end, which I always thought was a shame. But I'm going to go Winnie Reid.
Yeah.
Too. And then in older times. Or newer times. This is tough. It's really tough.
You feel like you're letting them down.
It seems so obvious to go for a more modern player because it's so recent in your memory. But I think it's because I learned from my granddad who just can't go to games anymore despite having a season ticket, just to block out all the memories. But I think it's hard to not give a nod to Angelo because he's just like what he's done. It was underrated how central he was to transforming the whole defence. He's been in some terrible defences, Angelo Ogbonna. So has Winston Reid.
Yeah.
Like, if the two of them in their prime played side by side, we'd be looking at just our best centre-back pairing. So I think I'm going to go those two.
You picked close to my heart. I think I had a Winston Reid New Zealand shirt for a while, so I reckon you can pencil that one in already. Cal, I left you to last time, didn't I? So I'll leave Jack to last this time.
Sound.
Give me two. So Jack's really got to work hard.
Yeah, sound. Reid and Ogbonna I think are probably going to be hard to beat because previous ones we've either picked for nostalgia or picked because they were good, but they tick kind of both those boxes. So it's a bit of a tricky one. But I think based on the same justification that I've given about when I first became a West Ham fan, that season where we got promoted from the Championship, I'm going to go Anton. Obviously, West Ham boy through the academy, still a good lad now, unlike his brother. If you're listening, Rio, I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not. But yeah, he was good, man. He was like one of those. He was young and like we've talked about this on the podcast before. I think when it's like you get one of those West Ham players come through the academy, and like with Rice, we've been blessed because he actually is exceptional. But you get those players who come through, and like even if they're not like amazing, you kind of just overhype them because they're West Ham Academy products and you just want to see them like shine. So you're like, oh yeah, Anton, yeah, one of the best centre backs in the league, when like really he wasn't, and his career reflects that after West Ham. But I just always had a soft spot for him. So yeah, he goes in, and then the other one is tricky. It is tricky. I know that Jack's going to pick someone, but I'm avoiding it for recency bias, and I want to go for someone that holds a bit of a closer spot in my heart.
To Roger.
Roger picked. He's leaving me with.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. Well, you get arguably the best centre back to have played for us in this time, so that's fine. But I'm going to go for Jack's compatriot, Ginge Collins, the man.
Nick, my favourite player.
Exactly, man. Exactly. But yeah, I mean, hard to look past him, really. Like, obviously, another one who kind of the Dawson mold, I suppose. Not to be too like simplistic, but like just very solid centre backs. Not like ball player, not exciting, not flary, but they'll just absolutely throw their body on the line regardless of what's going on. And obviously, 2 spells with us. He was there through the good times and the bad times, and I think. We'd be remiss not to include him, but also just because of how crap he was treated when he left. Like, it was just kind of sad. Like, he was with us for so long. He was probably due a testimonial, really, I would say. And then he got released via email, was it? I think. Like, just the disrespect, it's just not on, really. And I think, yeah, it would be harsh to leave him out. And it's a shame that finished on such a sour note, because he was kind of all through my West Ham, childhood, was a consistent figure.
What I will give Ginge is I think maybe the best individual performance of a centre-back I can think of was away at Anfield, where he basically man-marked Luis Suarez And I'd have put Luis Suarez as exactly the wrong type of player for Ginge to be playing against. You're talking about squirmy, getting around little type of, quite delicate on his feet, and Ginge quite the opposite. Didn't move with any grace, not a hint of delicacy in anything Ginge did, but he absolutely man-marked out of the game that day. Got a lot to beat then, Jack.
I'm buggered, aren't I, lads? Collins has to be in for me. I can't even. It's really hard that I've not got the chance to argue for him. Welsh, West Ham, Ginger. I mean, that's just everything for me. It's all the right notes. It's all the right notes there.
You look so similar.
I thought Ginger was on. I thought Collins was on.
Big name.
I'm going to go Kurt because he's probably the best centre-back quality-wise out of the lot. I know he's not been around very long, but he's exceptional compared to most of the centre-backs we've had in terms of his on-pitch ability. Less said about off-pitch, the better. And James Tompkins I'll throw in as well, just for being pretty solid, doing a good job, slotting in at right-back when needed, and for his absolutely rascal hair. So there you go.
My abiding memory of Tompkins will always be deep corners to the back post that Tompkins has to head across goal, which was Allardyce's only set-piece tactic, if I remember correctly.
Are you having a laugh? It's not that programme cover with him and Collison on the front.
No, that's close. That's a great. If no one knows what that is, Google that. The programme cover with Collison and Tompkins looking a little bit like. Not even NSYNC, because it's too kind of like East 17. They look a little bit East 17. I think, well, if I'm going to pick, I'm picking Winston and Oggy. So that's just, it's not even a debate, really, unfortunately for you.
Honourable mention for Danny Gabardon. I love that guy.
Yes. I'm a bit surprised Gabardon's not got a mention there.
He had one leg shorter than the other, or something like that. That was some fun.
I didn't know that. That's great trivia.
Even if he didn't, we're putting that out there now, so it doesn't matter. And then, Danny, if anyone comes asking...
If it's not true and you're listening, I'm so sorry for this.
You can join Mark Lawrenson and the band on stage at the main stage.
Danny, we're getting the band back together. You and me, Laura, main stage of Glasgow.
Oh, it's all my dreams come true. 4-2-3-1. Then a pair of centre midfielders for you, Dan.
Oh well, okay. Decky Rice is going straight in the mix. Like that's just it doesn't even need to be discussed, really.
A given.
He's the greatest footballer I've ever seen in my life, ever. So, in terms of a second choice, it's actually quite tough. If we're going on like again odd nostalgia, like I loved Kouyaté. I loved him. I don't know why. There's no
because he was a bit bad. He was a bit mad.
Yeah, I loved him, but I can't put him in the top two central midfielders of all time at West Ham. And again, I'm going to go obvious, and I'm going to go safe because I know it makes it harder for everyone else who definitely has a more illustrious historical knowledge of West Ham. But I'm going to have to go with Marky Nobes for nostalgia and his consistency and his ability to just like he. What I love is like this idea that I've always loved him and thought he's brilliant, but he definitely was never quite good enough to get into any other side, which is what's fun about Mark Nobes. But in reality, he will be like, I went to his testimonial and it was like, honestly, like tear-jerkingly fun and lovely. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, I think like he's seen us through so many moments in modern history at West Ham. So like, I think I connect him too closely to like West Ham as a whole culture that I can't really like not keep him in the team. So I'm going to go him and Deck.
Oh, it's going to be really hard when one of you picks someone. I have to now sit there thinking I've got Noble's name tattooed on my arm, his signature on my arm, and how do I not pick that man?
I didn't even know about that before I picked the team. But, you know.
on the other side though, when he did it, he did say that I need to get to the gym, so maybe I could just use that to rule it out. It's fine.
Yeah. He parred you, bro.
He absolutely did, and then I made a joke about his hairline, and that wasn't funny. So that's.
You told Mark Noble he's got dead hairline.
Yeah, I know. I was a real like. Don't know why I've reacted. My biceps are really small. I don't know why I've decided to go defensive. Not my wife's move. Jack, 2 names for me in the middle.
2 names in the middle. Scott Parker's going straight in.
What am I doing?
Scott Parker's going straight in.
There's that memory.
Left me an open goal there. Scotty P, what a player. Football Writers Player of the Year when we went down. So Scotty Parker's definitely going in and partnering him just for the most wonderful passing duo you could imagine. Alex Song.
Ooh, tasty. Yeah.
Terrible second season, but let's not talk about that. No, he was wonderful that first year, wasn't he?
There's a period of time where he looked a world-class talent, Alex Song, just strolling around the middle, shorts always pulled up really high, socks quite low. Yeah.
How many times have we had someone who's Barcelona quality at West Ham? Not many. So
yeah, exactly.
And any time they do fall off a cliff. All right, Cal, you've got to find a better name than Rice, Song, Nobes, Parker.
Yeah, well, it's not happening. They were both my first and second choices, so it's pretty tricky. I'll put Souček in there just because of last season and how good he was. Probably is one of the best centre mids we've had, to be honest. It'd be hard pressed to find someone better than him. And then the second one is tricky. There's a few names floating around. Rio Coca comes to mind just because of, again, the time when I became a West Ham fan, but I'm not sure he gets in.
Obiang, goal against Spurs.
Yeah, Pedro was the one I was thinking of because of the goal against Spurs. And I just thought every time I'd seen him off the pitch, he just seemed like a sound guy as well. Just like very, very good in interviews and stuff. Like apparently he's like mad intellectual, which is quite funny. I don't know why it's funny, but it just doesn't seem the kind of thing I would expect of a West Ham midfielder. But I think I'll actually go with again, I guess you could call it a nostalgia pick. And he wasn't. Actually, no, I think my memory might be failing me now. Was he a right mid?
That's what you're talking about.
Go on.
At least we've got it on tape if you're wrong.
Go on.
Jack Collison. Well, I don't think he was
Collison.
Okay, yeah, I'm putting Collison in then.
Wales are getting some really good representation on this one.
Yeah, that's it.
They're not getting picked.
I was the Welsh one. Yeah, all right, I'll go with Collison and Souček, but with the resignation that I know that neither of them are good enough to get into the starting two. So
I have a real soft spot for Jack. I was at that game, it was a Millwall Cup game after his dad had passed, which was a really emotional game, crazy game. And I also thought it was a lovely play. He glided around, Jack. It always felt a little shame he got injured. I mean, it shows your age. If I was doing this, I could have chucked in Frank Lampard or Michael Carrick.
Yeah. I was probably only about 2 seasons away from Carrick, I think. Probably.
I'd never pack it, Frank. But that's my own anger issues that I've still got there. I'm definitely picking Rice, and it's now whether I go with my heart or my head. Really, I think I've got to go Scotty Parker. He was my favourite player in the world for a period. I think there was a little period where Scotty Parker felt like, he was the best player in the Premier League, and for some reason he was playing at West Ham for Avram Grant.
Yeah, so peak that is the sort of situation he found himself in. But he was mustard, wasn't he? I always associate him with that little sort of run he'd do on the ball, where he'd like turn around in a circle before offloading the ball. He kind of it was like scanning without scanning. Like he didn't move his head. He just was like, I'm going to scan with my full body and just run around the circle so that I can see it.
Circle. That's like so iconic.
Yeah.
Parker, those little turns. He just turned back in his circle. Yeah, Scott Parker he just didn't lose the ball.
No, that's it.
Noble does kind of do it as well.
Yeah,
you can see where he got it from. Yeah.
It is quite cute. I love Scott Parker. I'm going to pick that move he does.
I'm going to do the Scotty spin.
He's calling it a training ground. No one else knows what he's going on about. Right then, right winger in a 4-2-3-1. I guess we can be pretty liberal with this if you want to pick 3 attacking midfielders, but I'll go.
This is so tough in terms of.
I don't think you have to be too strict with it. I think when I did this first time, I picked Paulo on the wing. So
4 attackers you've got.
Yeah,
4 attackers.
Yeah.
Guess I was going to say because it's like. It's weird because there's so many so many centre forwards. So many of them were awful, but there was actually quite a few that I would quite fancy in my team as well at the same time. Wait, am I picking? So what am I picking? Just one for now.
Give you a right wing, and we'll do it bit by bit because otherwise you could. I suppose you could make it really hard, but then also it's a lot of time thinking. So let's see if I give you a gap each time.
Yeah. I want to give someone an honourable mention, but I'm scared someone's going to bring him up because he's not my choice.
You're the guest, remember?
Oh yeah, I'll run it right now. This is
that's all you.
I'm going to give an honourable mention to Yossi Benayoun for just being the biggest legend ever. Like just like he was so. just honestly, like his ability was just so fun. He was so fun to watch play football. But I think if the way my team's going to lay out, I probably have to put Di Canio on the right. I think just to make space elsewhere.
Fit him in. Yeah, that's how I did it.
Yeah. But then also it's tough because like the way Jared's playing at the moment, it's like hard to ignore him. But I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go to Canio.
You get Paolo. Jack, give me one random. I will pick 3, so you don't have to be too worried about the position. But
I'll put Mick in. I know he's playing striker at the moment. He's done brilliantly, really, though. I think you've got over 10 goal contributions per season for, I think, what is it now, 5 seasons in a row at least, that he's done that, which is a crazy return for a West Ham player, crazy consistency. Loved the story all the way up through non-league. Had a really tough time at the beginning, never got picked. The right back to right wing to left wing, back to right wing, back to right back, then up front. That's just brilliant. So yeah, has to go in for me somewhere.
Through West Ham story, we've got a striker. We played him at right back for a while. Yeah, all right then. All right then, whatever. Cal.
I'll chuck Bowen in. He deserves to be in on form, so he's got to go in there, really.
Nice and simple. On form, Jared. Right. I'll get all of the names before I make a choice. So I'll give you another shout for me, Dan. A kind of an attacking midfielder, maybe central.
Boring, classic. It's easy. It's Dimitri Payet. He broke my heart.
Fair.
He broke my heart, and he crushed it into many tiny little pieces. My fun fact, or fun story is that he, like my mum, kind of slightly ironically as a joke, got me a Dimitri Payet phone case, which I quite embarrassingly used because I didn't have a phone case. And then I used to work on a market stall in Covent Garden, and when I was I remember just one day, the day he just left, the day he left, and it broke my heart. I stood there and I just carved his name out with a little Stanley knife. I just carved his name out bit by bit. And it was so dramatic and so embarrassing. And these little tourists were asking for, goodies and stuff. And I was there carving a man's name out of a phone case. So yeah, but anyway, he makes my team because he's just probably the best footballer I've ever seen play for West Ham.
And you see, I've had my heart broken.
Yeah.
You put that in your songs. That's a real emotion.
What do you think the whole first album's about?
I had a framed photo of him in my room at the time that was taken away that day as well, never to be seen again. So it was almost like an ex-girlfriend with me as well.
We all had a breakup that day.
I quite like it. In my head now, It'll Be Better With You is the album's name, but it's because it's after Dimmy. That's what it was. It's
actually nostalgic. It was better with Payet. Oh, you got me going there now.
It certainly was. Cal, I'll let you in.
Again, quite a few contenders, especially for this central one. We've had quite a few, but I will go for purely on the fact that I think at his peak before he got injured, he was set to be like some next level attacking mid. I think Liverpool were after him at a time. So yeah, I'll go for prime Manuel Lanzini. I think in the middle.
Hard to argue with the feet that could score that Palace goal.
Yeah.
That was so tasty.
In a win that West Ham fan Dan McCarthy didn't predict when he was on the
You know what it was as well? I was like the most hungover I've ever been in my whole life on New Year's Day. I just ordered a Chinese and I was watching it. It's funny because my flatmate hadn't left his room all day because he was so hungover. And he just heard me screaming. The only noise that had actually made any sense all day. And he came running in, angry, but also intrigued. Watched the goal and went, do you know what? Fair play. and I didn't see him again for 24 hours.
Yeah, I like that. We agree on this, but anyway, I'm back to my pick. Jack, you've got Dimmy and Manu so far.
Yeah, I've got no chance, have I? Basically, I think I'm going to go Kevin Nolan.
Thank you.
Great goal scorer. Always had Christmas off. Love that. And just all round top guy by the seams of things. Did a great job for us. I was really I didn't expect him to come at all because he was doing so well. And then all it took was Sam. one phone call, and he was like, I'm coming straight away.
Getting the band back together.
Yeah, exactly. It was
Ring
me,
Big Andy.
Matty, Gary, and Joey.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, definitely Kev Nolan deserved a shout.
Right, Nolan's, and then a left winger for you, Dad. You got one spot left, and no one's picked the name that first came to mind for me, and I'm mainly offended.
This is, I don't know who you mean now.
Yeah, I'm intrigued.
Are you Matt Jarvis? No, I'm just
So delighted someone's finally said it. His volume of crosses. His volume of crosses.
Yeah.
Is it recent?
Yeah, I was trying to...
Is it recent? I reckon it's right on the edge of your youth, I say. I mean,
okay. I know who it is.
First West Ham player I probably fell in love with.
Oh, okay. Well, so the thing is, I've got two for this last position. This is what's kind of horrible. I would float the name like Joe Cole around just because of like my childhood, and like that's who he made this shirt iconic in my mind, and like he went to my school. And like everything about it seemed. So did Marlon Harewood, weirdly.
All the boys.
And so did John Barnes and Enda.
That was a great school team.
Yeah. I don't know all at the same time, but it was But if I'm gonna have to put someone on the left, do you know what? Again, he broke my heart. But I might have to go Arnautovic just because of like he was just so lethal on his day, but I hated his attitude. So it's like such a difficult balance as to whether I put him in, but I think I'm going to have to.
Mad Arnie's gone in. He'll be back. Cal.
Yeah, Arnie was on there for me as well. I think much the same. I had such a love-hate relationship with him, but I just loved what a shithouse he was as well. Like he was just an angry man. But like when it was not working, it was really annoying because the classic, like, his attitude stinks, like he doesn't want to be here. But then when he did well and he was still angry, it was like, this is just so like badass. Like he's such a sick guy. Like, so yeah, he would have been in and around it for me. There's a few floating about. Do I pick Fornals? Probably not.
You're going to tug at my heartstrings if you make me pick between someone and Pablo.
I know you love Pablo
so much.
Are you not trying to win this section, Cal? You got to go Pablo. You know, Chris.
Yeah, true. Yeah, this is true. But only because I don't know where else I'm going to put him, and I'm going to try and get recency bias on my side. I've got to put Lingard in there somewhere. I know it was a very short love affair, but I think he came in and he's probably the reason. Well, we were technically on track for Europe anyway, but he definitely came in and gave us a massive injection that we needed and kind of carried us through to the end of the season. And probably the best season that I've ever watched us play in. Definitely the most enjoyable. And he's the reason we've got Europa League nights at the London Stadium. So yeah, I think I'm not going to put him up top. So I've got to put him there really.
You've got the last slot to fill, don't he? He's gone for Lionel Jesse.
You've left me an open goal with Pablo and Chris, but I'll go for topping Arnautovic for anger and Craig Bellamy.
Oh, I know who it is. Yeah, Craig.
Yeah,
you want to go for angry men? I think I've beaten you there. And also he's Welsh, so he's in there.
He nearly killed.
With a golf club. Yeah. Yeah, that is mad.
I mean, you've all hurt me. You've made me feel old because Joe Cole is just like my icon growing up, Joey. I adored Joey. Even in the second spell where people don't think he was very good, I can't get my head around other people thinking he wasn't good because he's Joe Cole.
He scored on his debut, didn't he?
I think he did a great cross on Collins' head as well. In my head, that second spell, he was still good, and I won't listen to reason that could tell me he wasn't. I don't really care. It's Joe Cole, so he's always a good footballer. Whatever. He was good at Liverpool in my mind. He barely played, was always injured. Don't care. It's Joe Cole. But none of you've gone Joey, so I'm going to have to. I mean, Paolo's making it. Paolo's a lock, and Dimmy's a lock as well. I mean, Dimmy's I think Dimmy's probably the best player, at least in a West Ham shirt, I've seen play.
I would agree. I think between him and Rice, obviously, but I think Payet in terms of just like how excited he made me. It's just. That sounds a little bit dodgy, but you know,
not wrong. Not wrong.
dodgy or not, I felt things in the stands.
You watch that Palace free kick and say you feel like that's safe for work. That is it's the naughtiest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I'm gonna break the rules side. I'm gonna put Manu in rather than fit in. It would have been between Manu and possibly. I really did like Bellamy. Bellamy was nuts.
Oh, that front two of Bellamy and Cole was actually like we've not mastered a front two since that. Like it was actually low key fantastic. Like having
Big
like
Carlton.
a big man and a zippy like little
Angry
golf club holding wielding. Like, but we haven't nailed a front two. I don't think many teams have nailed a front two, but that I remember I've got big memories of that being like quite iconic.
That was a bit.
I think there might be a West Ham Welsh 11 coming here. I think Jack, that might be a
I'm not going to be any help on that. I'll be honest. I've got. I mean, before the pod, I brought out all the Australian knowledge I had, and the facts weren't worth airing for recording. Right then, a striker. Then, Dan, you've got last pick on a striker. You've got a list of 50 at least failed strikers from the GSB era. They reinvigorate. They bring that article out every signing, don't they?
I think you waft through the chaos and the years of mayhem and the downs and the downs and the many negative moments of watching centre forwards come and go at West Ham United. But only one name comes to mind. Nostalgia, like leading the line, and it's Shamak.
Oh, you two are screwed. I knew you both had Shamak as well.
All jokes aside, mine again is a complete toss-up between two. It's like, I mean, my head says Dean Ashton, and my heart says Freddie Canute. Just because as a kid, like he was like. I know it's random and I know it's rogue and it's not going to win me any points here. I know. But like something about like Freddie, he was just, I just remember like for no real reason, just loving him when I was a kid, like him and Joe Cole. It was just like, I remember watching him play in that young team when I was maybe about 5 and just being like, this guy gets goals. There's something really suave about him. And it's just like, I don't know what it is. So like, I don't know. It's a real toss up, but I'm going to bypass my nostalgia and go for Dean Ashton because he's just like,
gets it.
And that's purely and simply. He had a fantastic career at West Ham as a great centre forward, and he had all, like plagued by injuries and all this kind of stuff. But the real joy was watching him score an overhead kick at the Mark Noble testimonial. We talk about most iconic football moments we've ever seen. That's got to be up there.
I think you'll get a lot of love from listeners for Dino. Dino's real popular one. Everyone, I think it's the wasted potential. I think that's what gets with Dino. Everyone thinks what could have been.
Yeah, it is sad because he was just for a spell, just looked like he just scored every shot he took.
All right, Cal, another striker for me.
Yes, I get to get in there with Carlos Tevez.
Nice,
the beast. Come on, mate.
He's right there.
I thought that was one of him. Rice and Payet with a 3 and Parker, where I was like, these are 30 in my team. Tevez was mad.
You had that greasy hair in your head and you've forgotten Carlos.
It's like somebody had no hair and also loads of product in some hair. It was amazing.
It was incredible, his hair.
Yeah, no, you can't not include Tevez really. Like he was just so good. Like he was one of very few players where you'd watch him and be like, he's actually too good for us. Like he shouldn't be playing for us. He was that good. Yeah, literally. I felt like I was robbing his career. And obviously he went on and did great things. But yeah, he was probably top 5 for me all-time favourite West Ham players, just for how electric he was. And obviously we owe him a lot. We also owed Sheffield United a lot. I don't know if they got it, that lawsuit or whatever it was.
Yeah, I don't know.
If you could score a goal that forces Sean Bean to march to Parliament, and you have to make some sort of greatest ex side, don't you? He's got Boromir walking to see the Prime Minister. You've got to think about that.
That is true.
Right, Jack, can you beat that?
I don't think I can beat a man that made Neil Warnock that angry, but who am I gonna go for
Colin.
here? This is tough as well because a lot of the good options have gone. Arnautovic has gone. Antonio's gone. I can't possibly go for someone like Diafra.
No.
He does score when he wants, apparently. A chant was so misjudged.
It's like the Masuaku one. He never gives the ball away. He gives the ball away all the time.
Exclusively gives the ball away.
So obviously I'm left with Emenike. No. Who am I going to go for? Who am I going to go for?
He was an ultimate team icon, Emenike. Remember when he signed, I was like, Dad was like, do you know him? I was like, yeah, he's got 96 pace. He was like, what does that mean in real life? And he wasn't even that quick at West Ham.
No, he was not.
Tell you what, though, he did a job coming on at right mid in games we were winning with 5 minutes to go.
I think you could probably say the same about Marco Borriello, if you remember him. Suave Italian.
Just nicked my next name. Marco Borriello. I'm so.
Who was the other one? Who was the other one that came? Nocerino.
I remember those two signed, and it was like, oh, what are we doing here? We're doing something kind of interesting, and it's like exciting. It's like we've gone overseas, and it's looking good, and it did not.
We put in these two suave Italians, and you thought they looked like.
It was Borriello, Nocerino, Nene, Wellington, Paulista. It was. What a window.
All these are like those names in there with like Di Michele. Like they played like 3 games, but they'll never escape my mind. Like,
Diego
Tristan. Always there.
Tristan, always there.
You're forgetting Guillermo Franco, who was an absolute hero.
Yeah. Mladen Petric, Nikica Jelavic. Anyway, I'm going to go Carlton Cole.
Fair.
It has to be done.
Absolute hero. And was my favourite player for years and years and years until I realised that James Collins was once ginger and then he became my favourite player. So no, Carlton Cole has to go in surely.
I can't believe you're making me turn Carlton Cole away, especially if none of you picked Joey. So I can't even bring the song. But Tevez, I can't look past Tevez. I loved Carlos Carlitos. I followed. It was a shame he had to go play for the Manx, really. It was nice when he left them and went abroad and you could love him again, climbing up those fences. Like a nutter. What a player he was. Not to begin with, saying that. It took him a while to settle. It's always funny when you do these and you think we had Javier Mascherano who couldn't get in the team because of Hayden Mullins. So same type of window. I think that leaves us with a team of Rob Green, Vladimir Soufal, Aaron Cresswell, Winston Reid, Angelo Agbona, Declan Rice, Scott Parker, Paolo Di Canio, Dimitri Payet, Manuel Lanzini, and Carlos Tevez, which leaves...
That's winning the league.
That's it, mate.
7 of Dan's picks, 4 for the rest of you.
Oh, well done.
Smashed out of the park.
I thought you were analysts. You've got your
honourable centre forward mentions of Demba Ba as well.
Yes. And what a chant that was as well.
Yeah.
Brilliant chant.
Oh, there's no man like Marwan, but certainly Demba's absolutely up there. Like Freddie Sears could have got a pick.
I remember thinking he was like the next big thing because he scored that goal. Like he was, however old he was, I was like, he's going to be mad. This guy. Don't know what happened to him. To be honest,
I thought about that about every youth player ever to come. There with
Zavon Hines. You remember that guy? Yeah.
You're not going far back as to me. Lee Boylan came in, who basically had the same record as Freddie Sears in my mind, and he was another one, just small striker, scored loads in the youth leagues. Doesn't happen in the academy for the Premier League every time. I think we've got a good team. I think we're pipping top 4 at least if we're not winning the league. I mean, as with every West Ham team ever, it would be the backup on the bench that might well be the problem.
Yeah. Who's gaffer as well? Who's managing?
Oh, who's manager?
Who's manager? Who are you picking manager, Dan? You've even had no time to think about this as well. So
I told you my management sent me the pre-game chat about what we were meant to be doing about a minute before I jumped on. So I haven't had any time to play. Still made 7 though, but I did get to pick first. So it's not hard. Manager. Do you know what? Again, it's quite rogue, and I know it went sour. I mean, it went sour with everyone, even
it always goes sour.
But if I was going to go anyone, I think Slaven brought me so much joy for that little window. Like it was just like that 2016 season. We were playing such electric football, and I don't know if it's purely because Payet was just running the show, but I mean, I've got to put maybe. But then, it's hard. Yeah, okay, no, I'm gonna stick with it. We've had some bad managers. I'll tell you.
We've had some rather bad picks in there. You can be on The Apprentice all you want, but the interview process for managers probably should be a little bit harder, but it doesn't seem to be. Cal, Jack, quick
I'm happy
manager.
I'm happy to go with Slav. Speed free. I think that if he had that team,
he's not going for his own pick. He's just backing. Yeah, he's backing Slav.
I think Slav with that team is mad. Like how he managed to get the team playing just basically because he had Payet was crazy. So give him all those players. I reckon he gets a tune out of them.
For this team, Alan Pardew.
Alan
Pardew. Yeah. They don't need managing. They just need someone who's going to G him up.
What a team with this kind of maverick talent needs is Alan Pardew as their head figure. There's stories about Alan Pardew.
When you said Alan, I was scared you're going to hit me with a Curbishley.
What I want is you think this team's full of attacking flair, so I want something that's just going to pull the handbrake a little bit. It's got to be Slav for me. I mean, I think watching him on the pitch at the last game of the bowling where he was kind of in tears. And I think that's what you want. You want, even if it all went a bit wrong, what you want is a manager who cares as much as you care. And that team made me feel emotions. That team definitely made me feel emotions.
Have you watched? I mean, I'm sure you have. I watched Iron Man, and I cried.
Yeah, it's hard. It's a proper. I cried. I think when we won that game, the tension after Winston scored, I think I cried at the end of the game, and sometimes football does these things. It's hard to explain to someone who doesn't like football when you go, why are you crying? Well, we just won our last game at a stadium. And did you get a trophy? No. Of course we didn't. We never do.
We nearly finished fourth.
We've got to lose to Swansea yet. It's like...
don't remind me of those last games, please.
It just started slipping away. It was so miserable.
Just like my dreams. It's an apt song for a reason, isn't it? Right, well, we've gone through. We've got a very attacking. To be fair, you can have a really attacking team if you've got Rice and Parker holding that midfield together. And you've got Winston and Oggy at the back, basically refusing to let anyone pass. You could probably get away with having players up top. I mean, I don't think Di Canio and Payet are putting much work rate in. But when they get the ball...
I feel sorry for Soufal and Cresswell. They're bucket at the back.
I'd imagine Tevez is doing a lot of scurrying around. Tevez with his bulldog-like approach. That will stay in my mind for FIFA forever. Well, thanks for the West Ham team. We should probably talk about the band that you were part of, if you remember, Dan. I know you've gone full West Ham on this.
It doesn't feel right now, does it? Really?
You actually go back to the danger. Yeah. I mean, I can say I've had Jesse come on repeat today a lot. I've been listening to the stuff. I mean, I'm an older man now, so I have to make an effort to listen to music. But I've gone on, and this stuff's been really, really good. I'm sure. It's across all platforms, audio, Spotify, YouTube. So anyone, however they are, from 1 to 80, I'm sure they can find you online. The Instagrammers, the Instagrammers amongst us can find. It's Kawala-gram, isn't it? On Instagram.
That's the one. Spelt silly.
Spelt. Oh, for the listeners, Kawala.
Yeah, edgy because it's spelt wrong. Origin is actually just the other singer's severely dyslexic, so we wrote that down. I went, that'll do.
That's a job.
But yeah, no, we're on all the platforms. The album's coming out on just to really cover every base. It's coming out on vinyl, tape, record, CD, everything. You name it. It's coming out. We're covering every base just in case there's one person somewhere.
You got to get a copy of the vinyl for the wall. Surely that's the kind of thing.
I've already got about 7.
You just back off a big tour of the UK and Ireland as well. It looked like you did a big show in Kentish Town on the way way home, I guess.
Yeah, that's. I grew up in Kentish Town, so we did the Kentish Town Forum, which is like 2,000 people, which was absolutely mental. Yeah, so we're just like kind of getting ready to get back out again. We're going back out in April for the whole month, basically Europe and all sorts, in UK and London. It'd be good to have a good West Ham contingent. We're playing Shepherd's Bush, so if anyone fancies an away day.
Yeah, there you go.
Over to Shepherd's Bush, we get as many West Ham, because it's like a small niche contingent of West Ham fans have picked up on my following of West Ham through like Loro and even like all the boys that sit near me in where I sit. So I'm sitting right next to the away. I've got this good little pocket of being like, these geezers been like, oh, I saw you on Sky News the other night. I was like, oh yeah. He goes, yeah. What was that shirt you were wearing? A little bit dodgy, mate. Give me a bit of stick. And
there's nothing like West Ham to bring you back down to earth. You can get as famous as you want. That's not a crowd that's going to let you forget, is it?
Honestly, the comedy as well. I took to a game the other day. Jim, the other singer, I took him. He's not a football fan at all. I took him to his first ever game. Well, he'd been to an Arsenal game once, but took him to West Ham, and I also took the. Tom, the singer from the band Blossoms, and he's like, they're both about 6'3", 6'4". Tom was like Jim dressed all trendy, but Tom was wearing like Barber. No, it was like Burberry overcoat with like a roll neck, a leather jacket underneath, Gucci flares, Gucci shoes. And he walked in and like some people recognised him and that went down well, but the rest were like, "Who's this geezer?" Like the best dressed man at West Ham maybe ever. But yeah, it's good fun.
You got shows up and down the country coming up the next 2 months, I suppose.
We're doing like record stores from
acoustic dates, aren't they?
Yeah, acoustic dates from the 2nd. Album's out on the 4th, so we'll be out and about then. So we're like down in Rough Trade East on the 8th, and then they're back out for the whole of April basically. If all things go ahead, we're not at World War at that point, or we'll have to see what's going on by that point. But we'll cross that bridge.
Yeah, good time to pick to choose a European tour. That's
Yeah, we're not doing Russia or Ukraine or anything like that. So we've got,
it's not like it's easy to find a normal time in the world anymore, considering at least you can actually get out there. All I'm really asking is one day you're on a big stage, at the very least you get the crossed hammers or the come on you eyes on the stage. I think that pony shirt could come out good at a gig as well.
It'll get a look in. I actually wear some festivals I wear my West Ham scarf, which is quite fun. Yeah, like I said, there's a little contingent of West Ham fans that come down to the shows that like in between songs. I remember at Kentish Town, they were like, there was like a little like, from like the back of Kentish Town Forum, I could just make out these like a group of about 7 or 8 lads just giving it, because our song was on FIFA last year, so yeah, so like people picked up on that a little bit, and that kind of we got like a little. Our fan base has always been quite young and mostly female, and then all of a sudden we've had this crossover of like young lads in bucket hats, which has been quite a transition, which is quite fun.
That's what you know. You're appealing to all markets, man of all people now.
Something like that.
Yeah, we're on the trajectory
that's how I dress it up.
Yeah, album 2, pop punk, bit of post punk. That's where we're heading.
It's gonna have to be. It's going to have to
Second album, Marrow and Shamak on tour. That's what it's going to be. It's just...
I'll tell you what. The scenes when we finally play main stage at Glasgow, and out comes Marrow and Shamak. Who else is coming?
Loro.
Gavidon.
Gavidon, you on the stage asking about his leg. Yeah, that's the.
Yeah. Danny, clear it up in front of all these thousands of people. Is one shorter than the other? Yes, the crowd will go wild. Be like, who on earth is Danny Gavidon?
All Kawala fans are really big fans of the theory that Danny Gavidon's leg is shorter than the other. It's just you have to be a part of the fan base.
Yeah, that's how it works.
It's entrance on the door. Right, well, I think that's probably us for tonight. I mean, thank you so much for giving us your time ahead of what I can only imagine is an extremely busy up and down period for you. A bit of everywhere, I suppose, at the moment, trying to make sure everything goes well. We wish you the best of luck and enjoyable times out touring with it as well. And obviously, you're free to come back on at any point, at any time. You, as the winner of our pick a team competition, I think you get to host from now on if you want to. I think that's how it works.
It's your podcast now.
Well, guys, thank you all for tuning in. You've all been amazing guests. And,
all right. I mean, I have one job, and if you do it better than me, it's really. I can't play an instrument or sing.
Neither can I. You've got to wing it. I've done a Faubert. I'm the musical equivalent of Julian Faubert.
Don't fall asleep on doing an acoustic gig.
I've been there and I've done that. I'll tell you that.
The church go. Well, I think until next time, that will be us over and out. But thank you ever so much for joining us. Thank you everyone for listening. Guys, thank you for picking your teams as well. Commiserations that you were so bad at it, obviously. But on that, good night.
Right, so we're here in the offices of a Late Late Show with the host of a Late Late Show, James Corden.
Hi.
Big West Ham fan.
Yes. I'm big Knees Up Mother Brown man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm regularly on the general discussion page. There's always someone who's got some information, so I love it. Yeah. It's great. Yes, it's excitement surrounded by imminent disappointment. That's what it mostly is.
Get on the forum at kumb.com. Come on, you irons.